So I went to this other rehab in Miami, and I was told it was a happening rehab. And I said, wow, what makes this happening? This is, well, Madonna's boyfriend's here. I said, oh, really? I said, yeah, he's really happening, and he's in the rehab. I said, well, I'm kind of happening. I mean, I was 400 pounds and a junkie, so I don't know how happening I was. But they said, you know, he's happening, you're happening, why don't you come to this rehab? So I went to this rehab, and it was just terrible. You know, I thought I'd be drinking margaritas on the beach, which I still didn't really think I had that much of a problem. I thought it was everybody else that was my problem. And the kind of joke is that, you know, I don't have any problems till I meet other people. So I'm going to stay in a cave, I'm fine. And so I went to this rehab in Miami, and oh my God, it was horrible. I was just like strapped to a plastic bed, screamed, cried, and detoxed. And, you know, the whole thing of when I got some time, you know, just to get the drugs out of my system. So it took probably 30 days. And they would bring different 12-step meetings in every day. And I was thinking, well, this isn't a bad job. You know, I didn't realize it was voluntary. You know, I thought they were getting paid to do that. I said, well, you know, maybe I could do this.
No, I had difficulty stopping drinking. I mean, in the hospital, they wouldn't even let me hold anything that was slightly like a wine glass. I mean, for the first, I think it was about 5 or 6 weeks, I didn't really leave the hospital. But when I did leave the hospital, I could not look. If I went anywhere, I couldn't look apart from where my feet were going, because I was terrified about seeing pubs or bars or shops that had bottles in them, because it would just freak me out, because I just wanted to have a drink. If I went to a restaurant, which I did much later on, I don't know, 3 or 4 months sober, I remember sitting in a restaurant and this woman had this glass and she was drinking, and I was just like that, my stomach was going, I was like, I just wanted her drink. And if people talked about drinking, I felt like, it's not fair, what about me? And I can't do that, well, I'm never going to drink champagne, and I'm never going to, you know, it was just, I felt like I'd lost my best mate. I thought I'd lost my friend, I thought I'd lost my lover, I thought I'd lost, yeah, you know, I could do life if I had a drink. If I didn't have a drink, what was I supposed to do?
When I first started AA, and I was coming from a place of being quite disgusted with myself, having reached a point of really quite damaged self-esteem. And I surrendered to the program literally with the thought, it's okay if I never have fun again. It's gotten that bad, that it's really okay with me if I guess I'll just never have fun again.
I've always had a Valium or something, and to just have nothing in terms of a substance just was such an uncomfortable feeling that I probably went to 3 meetings a day. Go to 1 in the morning, or 2 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon. Probably made 300 meetings in my first 90 days, because it was the only place where I kind of felt safe. You know, they say, I mean, everyone has their own thing, 90 meetings in 90 days. Well, that's great. But I mean, it wasn't enough for me. You know, I'm an addict. It was the only place I felt comfortable. I laugh because people say, "Why aren't you worried about being brainwashed?" I'm saying, if I could take my brain out and put it in a bucket and like shake out all the garbage in my head, I'd love to do that. I said, please brainwash me. I mean, I just don't want what I have. I mean, it wasn't helping me. You know, what was in my brain was certainly not positive. It was toxic waste. How do you get it out? Or at least getting it into a positive flow.
The being pissed and being drunk was horrendous. The getting sober was even more horrendous. Getting sober was horrendous because it was like, for the first time in my life, since I was a teenager, I had nothing to smoke and nothing to drink. And I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't know how to be in the moment. I mean, I still have problems with that, but I could only think about it forever. how am I going to get on an airplane? How am I going to have a birthday? What am I going to do about Christmas? What am I going to do when I go to a restaurant? How am I ever going to laugh again? How am I ever going to have sex again? I'd done none of those things without drinking. So I just thought my life was over. And I hear lots of people say that they get their emotions back. I already had my emotions because I spent the last sort of 4 or 5 years of my drinking sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. I was a daily drug taker, a daily drinker and a daily crier. And that only got worse when I came in. I mean, that psychiatric hospital, I wrapped myself in a blanket and I cried for 3 months is what I did, and went to AA meetings without the blanket. Came back, got in my blanket and just kept on crying. So I just, I was terrified, absolutely terrified.
In the program, when a person comes into the program, they're not receptive to complex ideas. You got to keep it simple. And that's one of the basics, right? You keep it simple, stupid. Because you're stupid. You sit down, right? We love you, but you're stupid. You sit down and you listen. And then you start to clear up. When you start to clear up a little bit, then you can say, well, how's your body? How are you feeling in your body? Because you have to detox. You have to get this stuff out of your system. Then you start to feel good. Your energy starts to, and sometimes when you detox, after a few months, after 3 or 4 months, then there's a surge of energy. And you say, why don't you go take a class? Why don't you find out what to do? Why don't you go running, What did you used to do? You used to play ball? Go play ball,